Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since I've done a proper video. I think I've done a couple of shorts since we got back here to my mother's farm in East Central Alabama. And recently I posted this photograph on Facebook, and my friend Jim Buller reached out and said, you know, now you should show pictures of, you know, what the picture that I just showed you looks like after you turn it into fire tinder. And so I thought, well, you know, that's a good idea, and I have a little bit of time today, and so I thought maybe I would make a video on how to turn punkwood into fire starter. Now this is a tin that I found up in the barn there, and let me tell you what I mean by punkwood. If you find a log or something and you pick it up and you know, it's just so soft that it really can fall apart in your hands, that is punkwood. Okay, it's good to use hardwood for this. I have never used pine for this. I don't know how pine would work. I feel like I'm competing with the sounds of nature out here, so I hope you can hear me. But anyway, I have been working on filling up this tin with punkwood, and I want to show you the finished result, the actual picture that I posted on Facebook the other day. This is the tin that I posted, and I just showed you that picture, and I turned that punkwood into a charred tin of burnt wood. And it is carbon. This is not like charcoal for consuming for health purposes, although I suppose you could use it in an emergency and you might get some benefit. But this is made from punkwood, or very soft wood, and charcoal is typically made from really good sound hardwood. So you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck there. But anyway, I want to show you why I like using punkwood for fire starter. And I also have my tin with char cloth in it, and I'm running low. So I brought some pieces. This is just, I brought some pieces of, this is cut up washcloth. You can use cut up socks. You can use any really kind of cotton material. The best and my favorite is denim. Like when Kaylin wears out his blue jeans, I'll save part of that and cut it up in little squares. But this is an old washcloth that we had, and that will work too. It tends to be a little bit more fragile once it's charred, but it does work. I think the ones that I have in here are like some kind of t-shirt or thin, maybe a flannel shirt or something like that. So this is my tin that I take with me in this is my fire starting kit. It's the good stuff. I don't know if you can read that, but it says the good stuff. It's just a little canvas bag that I stick my fire starting stuff in. And I keep this tin in there, and I like to start fire with flint and steel. I feel like that is the most durable and kind of maybe foolproof method, and you know, you can find the things that you need in nature as long as you have a good piece of steel. Now in my kit I use an old file. This is an old file that Daddy had in the barn, and I just broke it into pieces and put it on the grinder and ground off the sharp edges and stuff. And this is what I have in my kit. But I actually have a steel that Brother Jim made for me. I kind of talked him out of it at a camp meeting about 1.5 years ago. And so that one I keep on my keychain so that wherever I go, I have a steel with me. But this is the one that I keep in my kit, and I have some small pieces of flint in here. You don't need a great big old flint to start fire with. You can use little pieces, and I'll show you that in just a little bit. The wind has kind of died down just a little bit, so I may be able to actually show you how to do that instead of just explain it today. So anyway, I want to show you why we use this punkwood. If you've started fire with flint and steel before, you know basically what you do is you take your flint and you place a piece of char cloth on it, and then you strike it to get sparks. I'm not sure how well my sparks are showing up on the camera, but I'm getting really good sparks off of this little piece of flint. And you want to catch a spark on your char cloth, and then you can, I just grabbed some grass from bush hogging. You can turn this into a little, what we call bird's nest, just bundle it up, and then you would put that char cloth with the spark on it in here, and you can blow that into a flame. Well, it's the same thing with the punkwood. With the punkwood, you're basically throwing sparks into your tin, and one of these pieces, you have a greater chance, to me it's much easier, you have a greater chance of catching a spark on one of these pieces of charred punkwood than on just a piece of char cloth. So I'll show you that in just a little bit. But it's the same thing. Once you throw a spark in here, then you can just take that little piece of, let's just say that this has a spark on it, and you can do the same thing. Put that in here, or you can even put your tinder bundle on top of here and blow it into a flame. But the reason I don't like to do that so much is because the tin gets hot, and you know, if you need to handle it or anything, I like to take the piece of char out and put it in my tinder bundle. So, and then you know, you have your little fire sticks ready and everything, and I have some here, and if I'm brave enough, I've pushed the leaves back quite a bit, so hopefully I won't catch the woods on fire. But let me show you a little bit more about making this punkwood. So I've got the punkwood. Now this is gonna, I had this tin completely full, just like this, with the punkwood, but once it chars in the fire, it's gonna be much smaller. And so I try to pack it as full as I can. And so let me see if I can get a little bit more in here. So again, this is the punkwood. It breaks up easily. You can just, I don't have strong hands at all. I've had like 5 hand surgeries, and it's rotted and broken down enough that I can break it apart. So that's what you're looking for. And you just want to break up the little pieces in there and fill the tin up. So let me, I'm probably going to have to change the angle of the camera so that you can actually see me trying to start a fire, because I can't char this down without a fire. I'm going to go ahead and try, and hopefully the wind won't kick up on me. So let me change the angle of the camera, and I will show you. I'll show you with the flint and steel and a piece of charred cloth, and then I'll show you in the tin. I'll show you a couple of ways, because the easiest, and this is almost cheating to me because it's so easy, is to take a striker and just throw sparks into your tin of charred punkwood. So let me change the angle and I'll show you that in here. So I've got my 2 tins here. This is the one with char cloth, and this is the one with charred punkwood. I'm going to be honest, whenever I use charred punkwood, I just use a striker, because to me it's much easier to start fire in the punkwood with a striker, because when you're trying to throw a spark in there off of flint and steel, it takes a lot of, for me, effort and practice. I don't have the strongest hands, and so you can strike. I thought I caught one right away, but no, I didn't. But you can strike and throw those sparks down in there. But to me, it's easier if I'm going to use flint and steel. I always use the char cloth, okay, and I strike it that way. Whenever I use, and I do keep a little rod in my kit here, but I have a separate one here. And that's what I do, is I just throw sparks in there, and you can actually set it down and push the sparks down like so. And there, I caught one on 2 pieces. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that has caught a spark. So I can now put this in my bird's nest here, hold it up, And now I can put that on my little fire, which I'll have to change the camera angle again. But I can start a little fire here, and I'm going to change the camera angle again, and then I'll show you what I do to actually char this. Just trying to get the fire going a little bit. So we'll just kind of get this going a little bit. So I'm trying to keep the delicate balance of keeping this fire small and yet big enough to char. So I am not going to wait. I'm going to go ahead, and what I've done here, because I was running low on char cloth, is I've taken out my old char cloth and I've filled this up with the pieces of cloth that I brought down here. And I'm going to char this up along with the punkwood. So you don't have to have a huge fire, but you just put your tin right into the fire. And so I'm going to put the tin on there. Now the tin is a little bit more airtight than the tin for the char cloth. These Altoids tins have little holes in them. This may actually need a tiny little hole drilled in the top to let some air in. We'll see how it does. Sometimes it'll blow the lid off if you don't have the little hole for it. So you just put it right in the fire. And again, I'm trying to keep my fire small because it's breezy, but now's when I have time to make this video. So it's a delicate balance. So one thing that I wanted to point out, I had neglected to close my little punkwood tin, and you can see that they were continuing to burn. So if you don't close your tin back right away, it's allowing oxygen to feed the burn for this. So you can just close your tin when you're done, and it'll shut off the oxygen enough that these will stop burning. Smoke really coming out, so it's working even with this tiny little fire. And it usually takes about 15 or 20 minutes, and I'm not going to run the video for 15 or 20 minutes just so you can watch a fire. But I'll come back kind of at the end. I got to hurry because I need to go fix lunch for my mom and my husband. But anyway, you see the principle basically, and that's what I mean. The wind is really kicking up a little bit. So. You see the flame coming out around the Altoids box? It's burning off all of it's just leaving the carbon in there, and those little pieces of cloth will come out black just like these whenever it's done. I apologize, I just have to keep the fire very small. If you had a bigger fire, this would go much faster, but you see that you can do it without having a huge fire. So this little tin is cool enough for me to handle now. It doesn't take very long. And so you can see what we have here is char cloth. So it's pretty much done. What I like to do at this point, I'm just going to take it out of the fire and let it cool off a little bit before we open it. Once it's cool, because this is kind of yucky, all this stuff, maybe that's a girl thing, I don't know. Once it's really cool, I'll take it out here on the grass and scrub it on the grass to get all that junk off, and it makes it nicer. So we'll let this cool and we'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like. Because I have to leave this area, I am putting sand on these burning embers just for safety. That way my hands won't get like this every single time I use this thing. Beautiful. Now all you've got to do is throw some sparks in there and you can start a fire. See you on the next video.